the Builder Style Panel Update. So this release brings with it the first step towards a redesigned, sort of updated design in the styling panel. And as you can see on the screen, it starts with this first view when you click the styling tab and you're seeing your classes, primary utility, your inline styles, and your external style classes. This one is minimally changed. It got a little cleaner, and as you can see, we added tooltips now to explain what all these different things are in the Builder Studio. So the styling section is obviously very complex with all the different settings and things you can do, and it's not always easy to tell what they do or how they map to CSS or other things or how they're going to output. Now, each little section is going to have a tooltip. So in here, the next step would be to click on a class or an inline style. And this is where the interface looks pretty significantly different. So before I talk about the differences up top, I want to point out that at the bottom, where it used to be all properties on the left, use properties in the center, and CSS on the right, it's switched up a little bit now. Kind of has the same idea or ethos, but it's a much more direct approach and a much more distinct split for these two sections. So now there's a basics tab that's kind of, it's locked in place. It's specific styles for layout, element, and text. And these styles, they're just the ones you need. They're just the essentials that you're going to use. It's not every CSS style that exists. We're not giving you a choice of that. We're purposely controlling your experience here so that you can actually just find what you want. The next tab though, all properties, this is where it's kind of combining the previous use properties and the way that you add properties. This is kind of like a universal search / property display area. So when you first come into all properties, it's going to show you just the properties that are applied to the class that you're on. So in this case, I'm on the button class and I can see these properties, which are highlighted green, which means they have a value in this class. And that's all that's in there. If I go to this search, if I start typing in here, it's going to filter and show me. So I typed margin. It's going to show me every style relating to margin. And if I wanted, I could change all of them at the same time or do something like this where I quickly do a couple sides. Now, after you finish that, when you roll off or you go do something else and come back, you're going to again see just the styles that are on this element. But as you notice, these two that I added just now are added in. So it's a little bit of a different interface. It's going to take a second to get used to if you know the old way, but ultimately this is a faster way to get everything done and a better way to separate kind of like a beginner path from an advanced path. The other thing to note here before I move on to the top is that this is like a V1 update. So these changes are the first step towards a even more overhauled UI update for these sections. So if you have any feedback as you're using it, once you get used to it and once you kind of see maybe where there's a quirk or there's an edge case, we would love to know. We'd love to know about it and be able to fix it as we move forward, redesigning this stuff. Last thing I'll go over in the styling section here is the top section got redesigned a bit, but it's all the same functionality. So the responsive design device width stuff is now here and kind of called out on its own. You can see all the device widths. You can click plus to add a new one. And I won't talk about it in this video, but there's a new toggle, if you notice, for single page responsive mode, which is going to help a lot designing for multiple devices, responsive design. Above these device widths, we've got the class name like we used to, and it's editable just by clicking and typing. But we move state to the side, and you can see if I hover over, there's no state selected now, but if I want to do a hover state or a disabled state, I select them, or I can add a new state here. Now, everything in here got touched and updated a little bit, so there is more to it, but those are the major updates and the things that you're going to notice right away. Again, once you use it and get used to it and have some feedback for us, we would absolutely love to hear it. So hopefully this is going to make us all a bit faster. And the last thing that I'll point out is hopefully this is going to make us all much more powerful because we also have the style with AI toggle here, which we'll talk about in another video.